Various portrayals of the Garden of Eden are so false that it deserves a little comment here. Now, this is a picture here, and there's several different types of pictures of Garden of Eden, but this one here could suffice. First of all, they try to show you here Adam and Eve naked, and this is why many native Indian people, native peoples, um, are naked and almost naked and just wear a little thing because they think this is how it was. But we all know that Adam and Eve, their persons were covered with a light, a righteous light. So when they sinned, this light vanished, and they were naked and they started hiding in the bush. And Christ came in and got some clothes for them. First clothes that were ever sewn in the universe, in this world, was for Adam and Eve. But also the location of where the Garden of Eden was a suspect. Now they tried to say that the rivers Euphrates and the various rivers there um, suggest that the Garden of Eden was located around um, Iraq, somewhere around there, and some river drained down to Ethiopia and so on. And what I think is happening is this: I think that the Garden of Eden was never around those places. Um, and this is why they try to say probably Africa is the cradle of civilization, and that Mother Lucy's bones were found there, etc. Um, Immediately after it started to rain, the Noah's Ark was able to take up. Now, if the Garden of Eden um, were that high, okay, it was rested on in Turkey, which it's in other words, what I'm trying to say is this: in the Garden of Eden, there was just one body of water. In those days, there's just one body of water, and this body of water couldn't have been on higher elevations. It had to be at the bottom of one of these big oceans or seas or something, either the Atlantic, Pacific, the Indian Ocean, one of these big oceans. They were living at lower levels. Now, you might want to say, well, why would they live in the valley when this big mountain would be, or and so on. But if it were on top, I'm not sure if the water would have been able to hold up there. And then, of course, when the flood started, Noah's boat immediately started to pick up. And if it were up where Iraq is, it would have taken days before the water had reached up there. The plant would have almost had to be almost covered before this ark would have taken up. But we got the impression as if immediately it picked up and started to move. So that therefore it has to be at a lower elevation. And of course, the ark is believed to have been, settled down in Turkey there. And I know that, of course, God could create um, ways of hiding um, the ark so that they can't find it. Just as the Ark of the Covenant, it's buried somewhere outside of Israel because trusted men were given it to spirit it and to secure it in some cave. And I'm sure as soon as they came out of the cave, they could even locate where it was again. That's how God works. And I understand that very soon, before Christ returns, that ark is going to be found, and various things are going to be found and establish again that God's word is true. But I think why they were able to say that this Garden of Eden was up by Iraq or somewhere up there is, look, when a civilization or a people are powerful, they normally lie and change the whole narrative. All right, we've seen recently where narratives, we know what the truth is, but the official narrative is something bizarre, something that only a clown would believe. We've seen that. Um, I don't want to give no illustration, but I think that when Iraq was the Babylon was the power of the world, they heard about this story and they want to make themselves so famous. Because you see, even Nebuchadnezzar, what he did, he heard that, look, this image, the golden head is you, and after you is going to be silver. So he wanted to say, hell no, I'm going to be in this thing forever. I'm going to be powerful forever. My nation is going to be powerful forever. But God was just telling him a fact. And it actually happened that Iran came on, or the Medes and the Persians. And so in this talk, I think that they changed it to make it appear as if the name, some of these rivers that they have by them, with these names, to give it the impression as if the Garden of Eden was right around them. And I'm sure that with the Babylonian Empire, saying it went down to Ethiopia, that was a part of their kingdom, so that they would say anything to make it sound as though they're that important, and that where the Garden of Eden was. As we all know, that the Garden of Eden was taken out of this planet, and it's some way God took it to heaven, right? And He's going to bring it back apparently when He comes back, something like that. But no, I don't think the Garden of Eden was nowhere by Africa, nowhere by Iraq. It was straight up somewhere lower down in one of these big oceans. And as the flood came up, we started to live higher. Because you see, this big skull that I've been showing you previously, that is not the skull of Adam, Methuselah, or none of these that we know. It could have been somebody close to the flood, just after the flood, such that um, those bodies um, were buried lower down. All right. I'm no. Ellen White says that after the flood, God was so distraught with the carnage that He cut off, shear off mountains and covered some of these people up, so that they don't be up there to be seen in the sight, and the other persons that came out of the ark and so on. But Adam and Eve, they probably were buried way down in some ocean, Indian Ocean, Atlantic Ocean, Pacific Ocean, some of these big oceans way at the bottom. They were buried, Adam and Eve, Methuselah, and all these people before the flood. So this is just a little discourse in that I don't believe that the Garden of Eden was by Iraq. I don't think Ethiopia is the Ethiopia that, even if the scripture talks about Ethiopia, it wasn't this Ethiopia that we know. Um, um, they just name things according to names that were famous so that they will be featured prominently in the future, and reflect back to tie back into history. But no, I don't think so.